All right, all right, all right. Happy Saturday night to you. Happy Saturday night. All right. So I'm checking Twitter while I'm doing this live stream. I was going to bring something up. Hey, Nizawa. What's up, buddy? Aloha, my friend. Headless Horseman. Nice to see you, man. Yeah. So, my goal tonight is to come on and do something fairly quick. I wanted to get a couple people listening before I got into it, but I wanted to ultimately come on and do something pretty short and brief. I mean, relatively brief, and it's something I've just been thinking about for a little bit, and it involves our president, and yeah. So there's that. Hey, how are you? All right, so good. Great to see the chat filling up. Nice to see you guys. Hey, Mel. Hey, D. Hey, James. Hey, Joe Mama. All right, so give me a second because I wasn't completely prepared to pull this up, but I'm gonna, maybe. Oh, yes, I am. I know how I can. Give me a second. All right, so, well, let me find this first. Oh, man, seriously. I think I saved it on my phone. I might have to grab my phone. I think I do. I don't have it saved on my iPad. And it's relevant, so. Great of you all to be here. Give me just a second. I'm going to grab my phone. It's right over there. I'll be right back. Oh, my. Okay. There we go. All right, so I have no idea how loud this is going to be once it comes through the speaker. So I'll just start it and then I'll turn it down a little bit and then be all right. There we go.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington, and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. Our campaign represents a true existential threat like they haven't seen before. This is not simply another four-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation, and this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy, but are in fact controlled by a small handful of global special interests rigging the system, and our system is rigged. This is reality. You know it, they know it, I know it, and pretty much the whole world knows it. The Clinton machine is at the center of this power structure. We've seen this firsthand in the WikiLeaks documents, in which Hillary Clinton meets in secret with international banks to plot the destruction of U.S. sovereignty in order to enrich these global financial powers, her special interest friends, and her donors. Honestly, she should be locked up. The most powerful weapon deployed by the Clintons is the corporate media, the press. Let's be clear on one thing. The corporate media in our country is no longer involved in journalism. They're a political special interest, no different than any lobbyist or other financial entity with a total political agenda, and the agenda is not for you, it's for themselves. Anyone who challenges their control is deemed a sexist, a racist, a xenophobe. They will lie, and then again, they will do worse than that. They will do whatever is necessary. The Clintons are criminals, remember that. This is well documented, and the establishment that protects them has engaged in a massive cover-up of widespread criminal activity at the State Department and the Clinton Foundation in order to keep the Clintons in power. They knew they would throw every lie they could at me and my family and my loved ones. They knew they would stop at nothing to try to stop me. Nevertheless, I take all of these slings and arrows gladly for you. I take them for our movement so that we can have our country back. I knew this day would arrive. It's only a question of when. And I knew the American people would rise above it and vote for the future they deserve. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. Our great civilization has come upon a moment of reckoning. I didn't need to do this, folks, believe me. I built a great company, and I had a wonderful life. I could have enjoyed the fruits and benefits of years of successful business deals and businesses for myself and my family. Instead of going through this absolute horror show of lies, deceptions, malicious attacks, who would have thought? I'm doing it because this country has given me so much, and I feel so strongly that it's my turn to give back to the country that I love. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again. Our movement.
Oops, we're not going to play that again. That's on a loop. Anyway, I wanted to play that. Welcome, by the way. Thanks for coming. Good to see you all. Thanks for sacrificing your Saturday night to come here and talk about this. I wanted to play that because it touches on that as we've gone through this journey. Remember that Trump gave that speech as he was running against Hillary. He wasn't even the president yet, wasn't even close to being the president yet. He was campaigning. He called it out, straight out. If you really go back, I hold that speech so near and dear to my heart because I dissect it. I listen to it. It's the first real shot across the bow. Out of the many shots that President Trump has taken at his opponents and shot across the bow, this was like a monster. This was 5.5 minutes of genius. And I'm quite certain that speech right there will go down in the annals of history. A couple things that I wanted to touch on because of that speech was, Trump was not president yet at the time that he gave this, but he said our movement. That immediately includes anybody that's been on board with him from the beginning and anybody that's snowballed into being a supporter of Trump since. You are part of his movement if you join him today. So our movement is about replacing the failed and corrupt political establishment designed only to enrich itself at the expense of you and me, the American people. Okay. So they spoke about this is not another 4-year election. When that was Trump's talking points. This is not just another 4-year election. And also to our movement. Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment that's governed by you, the American people. Guys, do you know what this plan involves? The whole Great Awakening, what I'm talking about between these two, is that there may not be, maybe there will be, but I don't think there's going to be like a massive upheaval in society. I think when they say that this is not another 4-year election, it's about being governed by you, the American people, that it means that you're going to be required to use your voice and use your vote. You're going to need to vote this out. That's the most tranquil slide of events to go towards the future, is that we need to put in the people that are going to help the president fulfill the agendas that is going to finish off the deep state. That's what's got to happen. When they say it's just not another 4-year election, that's true. They're not going to heavy-handedly come in and take over and say, now it's going to be governed by the American people. No, they're going to transition this thing right into the people being disgusted with what they see out of the Democrat Party. we're going to be disgusted as a society of what we see. We're getting doses of it now. I'm hearing on some platforms that October could be a pretty big month for disclosure of a lot of this going down. But keep in mind that it's so rampant with all the awful things that the deep state is in. You can look for October to be a big month for good news coming out, proving what we all follow, believe in. But also understand that they can't let everything out. They can't ever in this entire great plan, they can't ever open the floodgates and just hit them with everything. What about this? What about that? What about that? What about that? This person, that person, that person. You can't hit them with it all. Their only chance to make this a successful and the least amount of conflict possible is to drip feed the American public the truth and let them come to their own conclusions. So Trump was right when he said, our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt government. This is not another 4-year election. It's going to be run by you, the American people. That will move forward in life to decide the direction of this country, which leads me back to the midterms and why they were so important last November. Listen, I without a doubt think that going into the midterm elections of 2018, the Republicans were going to wipe out any blue wave that they were talking about. They were talking about recapturing the majority in the House and maybe the majority in the Senate. And that's what they were running on. Trump and Q team knew that we needed the Senate. We had it for 51 to 49, but they knew that we needed the Senate because we had to get all these judges approved. There's vacancies of judges in all of these different circuit judge courts all over the United States, but they're they're judges that are waiting to be confirmed. That gets done in the Senate. That's why it's important to hold the majority there, but also other things get done in the Senate, like figuring out if your attorney general can be the attorney general. He has to win the majority in the Senate, even though it's an appointed position by the president. And you have this on lots of levels. That's why the Senate is so important. So we went through the midterm elections. We picked up 2 seats in the Senate through that election, 53 to 47. We have the majority in the Senate. Things are humming. Things are great. We're putting in judges at record pace. We got Kavanaugh confirmed. We got Gorsuch confirmed when we had a 51 to 49 lead in the Senate. These are all positive things that are moving in the right direction. So the midterms were so important from the standpoint also of exposing the Democrats and the entire media agenda for what it is, which is a heaping mound of bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all smoke and mirrors and bullshit, right? That's what the left has proven themselves to be, and it's by design. The Republicans won the Senate because they were allowed to win the Senate. The vote was overwhelmingly good, and those seats were won and picked up. Had there been no ballot fraud allowed in the House, the Republicans also would have won the majority in the House. It's just there's no chance that's not the case. You don't pick up seats in the Senate and lose seats in the House. People vote along party lines and check that box for them across the board. You just don't do that. So what does it tell me? Voter manipulation was allowed to be done in the House of Representatives in the November elections. It was just simply allowed to happen, and the Republicans or Democrats picked up the additional seats and held the majority. That is, in fact, why Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House and is therefore third in command. If something happens to Trump and something happens to Pence, your president is Nancy Pelosi. So think about that. That's how that works. If the Republicans held the majority in the House, then maybe it'd be somebody like Jim Jordan, or maybe it'd be somebody like whoever. Doesn't matter. Somebody credible, somebody good, but that's not the case right now. So I go back and say that they were allowed to win the House because in order for this plan to go off how it had to go off, they need people to be awake. If the Republicans had allowed themselves to win, as they should have, the House, we wouldn't know all the things that the Democrat-led House is showing us today. All the different things that they are putting up in front of the American people, which for are getting airplay on the television. We are learning about what absolute buffoons these people are. If the Democrats or if the Republicans were in there, it would just be they'd be just saying, hey, they're steamrolling everything. There's no democracy. We don't have any voice. We don't have this. Shit's got to change. I'm sick of it. Blah, blah, blah. And they'd play on that. No. The House needed to be able to have a voice from the Democrats so that they could launch all of this shit and be heard on their televisions by the American people. It's all part of the Great Awakening. It's the most masterful plan ever. Because had they not won the House, people wouldn't know what they know. And it would be an ugly, ugly takeover. I mean, I think the plan's going forward regardless. But it would be absolutely 100 times worse if the Republicans ran everything and that was that for the last 2 years. Do you know what kind of brick walls we would be coming up against? The mere reason we are as far in our awakening to what's going on is the mere fact that the Democrats control the House, and therefore they have a voice. But they don't have the voice, you know? They literally have just enough rope to hang themselves in the court of public perception. And they've been doing a masterful job at that. Masterful. These people are going down. Their ship is sinking. They know this. They see this. Panic is definitely in DC, guys. Red October is right around the corner. Another drop that we were given in the Q drops, where we are showing that future proves past. I think October could be special. And it could also give credence and prove past Q drops that point to October. Now, disinformation is necessary. I get all that. But I also get that there are things that are happening a year after the Q drop that kind of directly correlate with a lot of the different Q drops. It's funny, but it's there. And regardless, we're going to know very shortly. And some of us already know. But what you are witnessing, what you are seeing right now out of the Democrats with this entire impeachment thing over the whistleblower and all that shit, trying to go for whistleblower before the anything, and Trump comes out with a transcript and it says transcript. I mean, he knocked them so far out of their shoes. I don't even know what to say. They beat that ass hard. And the Democrats are sitting there holding a turd in their hand. Like, what do we do with this? I don't know. It's a turd. It's a turd. They got a turd in their hand. It's bad. They look bad. They continue to expose themselves. That doesn't hurt my feelings. It's great. But it's bad. They look bad. And that's part of all of this. We've been told now for quite some time, sit back and enjoy the show. You're watching a movie. Can we just wrap our freaking heads around the fact that maybe all of this that we just learned about Joe Biden was in the script? And these things are planted and put out to show the people this about Joe Biden. You know, I'm gullible with some things, but I'm not ignorant. And this was done by design, you guys. All of this coming out with Trump and the whistleblowers, all by design to show Biden and what was going on with Biden and Ukraine. It was to open the entire, it's the seal. It's broken the seal between the United States and Ukraine. And that's where all the real collusion, all the shit was getting filtered through. And we're about to learn this. And the best part is that people are going to sit here and watch this unfold right in front of them. We haven't even released the FISA documents yet. We haven't shown all the corruption. We haven't shown James Comey signing off on 2 of the 4 FISA warrants that were given to federal judges bogusly. This is all coming out, and we should thank God that it's coming out in the way it is. Because really, honestly, this series of events is going to wake up and stir a lot of people in the right direction. A lot of people in the right direction. You know, that's how I see things going right now. I don't know how you guys see it, but that's how I see things. So, anyway, that's about all I had. I'll jump back in and do something soon. Hey, Ralph Deem, good to see you. Nice to see you, friend. It's good to see you. I just wrapped up my, I guess, mini rant. So I think that's it for tonight. I will talk to you guys and see you soon, I hope. Let's look forward to what's coming up. I mean, all the signs are pointing to, you know, every day that goes by, we should really be on alert and look to what's happening, because it's happening. Been saying that for a while. You know, my belief is it's happening right now. It's happening right in front of our eyes. You know, when we look back in life 5, 10, 15 years from now, and they talk about when things really shifted and went into gear and what was all going on, we're going through all that right now. This part that we're going through right now, and even before this, it's going to be lumped in to history as this was the Great Awakening. So stop and smell the Great Awakening flowers along the way. Guys, this is what winning feels like. Winning is knowing that the future is going to be bright for people in our country. That, you know, the God-given rights that were handed down by our forefathers through God as the direction of this company will hold their credibility. They'll be sustained. That presents a very, very good and bright future for not only America and your kids and my kids and all of that, but the world. Because you see the world changing right before our eyes. The world is jumping on this Q bandwagon because they're looking at this going, Donald J. Trump is the real deal. Ain't nobody ever talked to the deep state like this. Ain't nobody ever handled their business with people like this. Till this man came in and grabbed that ass and started mopping the floor with it. And he's mopping floors with deep state asses and has been for 3 years. And what's funny is he's known how to do it for like 30 years. Because if you turn on an interview from the guy from the 80s, he sounds identical to how he sounds now. Just change the country he's talking about. I mean, whatever, man. If you're asleep, I'm sorry. This is happening whether you like it or not. It just is happening. And there's nothing, you know, there's no amount of pouting or belligerence and just terrible behavior on your part that's going to change anything coming up in the future. So you might as well jump on board and say, you know what, shit is fucked up. And this guy is saying the right things. This guy is doing the right things. This guy is helping minorities. The things that he says about unemployment are true. I mean, it's your world, man. You got to live in it. So you want to live in the shit sandwich you've been living in all your life, or you want to come on board and say, you know what? Things that have to do with morals and right and wrong and dollar paid is dollar earned. I mean, you're cutting the taxes out. I mean, don't you want to be a part of that world? Or you want to live in a world where they just take everything from you until it's gone. And then you're Katniss Everdeen. You're Katniss Everdeen. You're in the Hunger Games. And pretty soon they call your little sister Prim. And you got to jump in because you actually know how to fight. And you got to go jump in and you're in a battle to the death. Well, in some funny ways, that's... I don't think that's that far off from where society could actually be in however many years. I wouldn't have believed it at the time of reading it, seeing the movie. It was like entertainment. Now I look at it and I go, Jesus. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I could see where this... I could see with FEMA regions all cutting up the U.S. in different regions. You're from region 1, region 2, region 3. Well, those are FEMA regions. You start to... Anyway, whatever. Just go on a tangent like I do. That's about it. Thanks for all coming on the Saturday night. It's great to see you all. I appreciate every single one of you. And I absolutely appreciate every single one of you. Okay. I do with all my heart. And I do. So be cool. I'll see you when I see you. Thanks for showing. And it was awesome catching up with you. So have a good night.